sometimes when you go or I go into a situation like that, I find myself overwhelmed because everything is new and everything is interesting and photography is limited. There's only so much I can show. And when I go into a place where, especially the bigger manufacturing companies, the older ones, they have a set, there's like a vertical aspect to it. You know, the workers on the ground, the workers in the middle, the thinkers, this, that. And everybody has to kind of keep to their place, and everybody has a role. And when I look at each person in their place, I just think there's so much more than that. And when I see those little drawings, like little Legos representing what each person represents in a certain industry, I find it just curious and maybe sometimes sad. I don't know. I think people are much more than that. So when I just see it represented as a drawing, it catches my attention. I was actually at first frustrated because in every place I went, people would be just looking down at things. So I felt I was repeating myself by photographing people looking down at things, but I quickly realized that just the nature of making things, of work. People are concentrated in their own task, and everything is very specialized. And people are just keeping their own time and making sure they're doing things right. And whether it's making underwear, making sure the thread goes in exactly through the elastic band, or whether it's looking through a microscope at the graphene, there is a similarity in the focusing of all these people. It was kind of unavoidable not to be photographing that, because I kind of became attached to some people that I photographed for some reason, like a man who's just obsessed with making his robots, and that's his life. You know, he makes them in his house, and I wanted to buy one. He didn't want to sell it to me really because he's so attached to them, and I just almost envied his love for what he was doing. It's very hard to explain why you're attracted to certain expressions or people or situations. But he's just wiping his upper lip with his hand. And who knows, maybe he reminded me of somebody. Maybe he just looked like somebody I wanted to talk to. Or another one is of a Siemens worker. You can't see his face, it's just the dusty jacket. And his arms that are a little tense. His hands are tense a little bit too. And I don't know if you can tell by the picture, but I know that he was very young. And just the way his skinny arms are sort of gripping, that draws me in. So she's probably the least, what would define Siemens the least, because she worked in the cafeteria, right? She wasn't doing any technological, or she was, but she was wearing a net around her hair, you know, to protect the food. And her earring comes out of some holes of the netting, and her beautiful hair, all curled up, is just kept in control underneath the net. And that picture is one of my favorites. But of course it's different because I don't share the same codes. I don't share many things with them, even if we do share a language. So, you know, in Argentina, I would know just by their accent or by the clothes they're wearing underneath the uniform. I would kind of know where they're coming from or what they like, what they dislike. And sometimes when you walk into a country where you're really much more open because you don't share a history with them, you approach it differently. Maybe with a more open mind, but there's advantages and disadvantages to being a stranger somewhere.